Hello and welcome to Better Body Movement. This class is designed to help you start feeling well.
I have less pain, literally eliminate that pain.
I just feel better.
I can tell that my posture is changing.
Bright light in the day when we've done our workouts online.
Makes me feel so good about myself.
The calf is predominantly made up of two different muscles, the soleus, which lies deep to the gastrocnemius. As you can see here, both muscles connect to the Achilles tendon that pulls on the back of the heel. The gastrocnemius also has two different heads that pass the knee joint to the back of the femur. The gastrocnemius and soleus both work to create plantar flexion, whereas the gastrocnemius also assists with knee flexion. Start sitting on the floor using a foam roller. Begin by placing your calves on the foam roller. Using the weight of your legs, flex and point the foot to create a better release. As you work up the calf, roll the knee outward and inward to get more of the lateral and medial gastrocnemius heads. Continue to work through that tissue for 7 to 10 repetitions on each part of the calf that is tender. Next, use the massage stick. To make sure the calf is loose, use a step stool to lift the foot and allow the muscle to relax. Start near the bottom of the soleus and pull towards the top of the gastrocnemius. When you find a tender spot or a knot, stop the massage stick where it is and create pressure into that spot, creating a jostling motion without rolling the massage stick up and down. Make sure you breathe and relax the muscle tissue. Continue this same process all throughout the soleus and gastrocnemius, even the side of the lower leg, until you feel you've gotten all of the tender spots. Be sure to use firm pressure as you roll the tissue. The muscles running most deep to the soleus are the Tibialis Posterior and the Flexor Digitorum Longus. The Tibialis Posterior is responsible for inversion of the foot. The Flexor Digitorum Longus runs all the way to the tip of the toes, creating flexion of the four toes and assists with plantar flexion of the ankle. From those illustrations, you can see how the muscles in the lower leg control the toes. To work the Tibialis Posterior and the Flexor Digitorum Longus, we are going to need a lacrosse ball and a chair. With your leg on a hard chair and the foot over the edge, place a lacrosse ball in between the gastrocnemius muscles and press down into the tissue. Work the medial and lateral portions the same way you work the tissue of the tibialis posterior. Press into the ball and pull your foot up while you breathe in. After a full contraction up, drop the foot and relax your breath. Work your way to the medial portions, continuing to breathe during the contract and relax sequence for 7 to 10 repetitions. Then move out to the lateral portions for 7 to 10 repetitions. The calf is predominantly made up of two different muscles, the soleus, which lies deep to the gastrocnemius. As you can see here, both muscles connect to the Achilles tendon that pulls on the back of the heel. The gastrocnemius also has two different heads that pass the knee joint to the back of the femur. The gastrocnemius and soleus both work to create plantar flexion, whereas the gastrocnemius also assists with knee flexion. Start sitting on the floor using a foam roller. Begin by placing your calves on the foam roller. Using the weight of your legs, flex and point the foot to create a better release. As you work up the calf, roll the knee outward and inward to get more of the lateral and medial gastrocnemius heads. Continue to work through that tissue for 7 to 10 repetitions on each part of the calf that is tender. Next, use the massage stick. To make sure the calf is loose, use a step stool to lift the foot and allow the muscle to relax. Start near the bottom of the soleus and pull towards the top of the gastrocnemius. When you find a tender spot or a knot, stop the massage stick where it is and create pressure into that spot, creating a jostling motion without rolling the massage stick up and down. Make sure you breathe and relax the muscle tissue. Continue this same process all throughout the soleus and gastrocnemius, even the side of the lower leg, until you feel you've gotten all of the tender spots. Be sure to use firm pressure as you roll the tissue. The muscles running most deep to the soleus are the Tibialis Posterior and the Flexor Digitorum Longus. The Tibialis Posterior is responsible for inversion of the foot. The Flexor Digitorum Longus runs all the way to the tip of the toes, creating flexion of the four toes and assists with plantar flexion of the ankle. From those illustrations, you can see how the muscles in the lower leg control the toes. To work the Tibialis Posterior and the Flexor Digitorum Longus, we are going to need a lacrosse ball and a chair. With your leg on a hard chair and the foot over the edge, place a lacrosse ball in between the gastrocnemius muscles and press down into the tissue. Work the medial and lateral portions the same way you work the tissue of the Tibialis Posterior. Press into the ball and pull your foot up while you breathe in. After a full contraction up, drop the foot and relax your breath. Work your way to the medial portions, continuing to breathe during the contract and relax sequence for 7 to 10 repetitions. Then move out to the lateral portions for 7 to 10 repetitions.
So there is a all right. Good morning. Whoops, I've got this in the wrong hand. If I'm going to stay weird, like my daughter tells me to, I got to hold it this way. Stay weird. All right. Well, good morning. I am really glad that you are here. You're ready to go for our workout. Now, remember, these workouts that we do here, they're intended to be used repeatedly, right? Every single week, we repeat our workouts in order to actually get stronger and get the brain connected to our muscle tissue. Posture is not a problem of not doing exercise. It's a problem of not doing the appropriate exercise and executing that all day long. That's where we see a change. So today we're going to get started with our core routine, which is very important to our posture because it is the foundation of all movement that we have. So I'm excited to get going on that, but first let's get started with our I dedicates. Lori's mom is doing dialysis 3 times a week, so praying for them. Ethan and his stage 4 liver and bile duct cancer. My friend's wife was diagnosed with breast cancer. They're treating that naturally, so we want to pray for her healing through that. Did see an update on Sky. She posted it herself. Usually her dad is the one that posts, but she was very transparent in the fact that the past couple of weeks have just been really, really hard on her with anxiety. Just the pressure of everything that's going on, it's just really difficult. So I did post on our Better Body Movement page just the original, not original, but our Facebook page, the Better Body Movement Facebook page. I posted that last night. Hopefully you were able to get a chance to see that. But be praying for her as well through all of the side effects of her medications. And then we're praying for Erin and her foot and ankles. So keep them in your prayers, in your mind as we go. Dedicate this time right now to them. Our verse of the day, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Joshua 1:8. That's actually a memory verse that my wife and I have gone through a few times, and it is just so powerful. I think that's one of the most powerful things I'm learning over time is the scripture memorization is so incredibly powerful, because then that's how God can speak through us, and we know it's true, right? Is if we are speaking out in scripture, we know it's truth. But if we're speaking out an opinion, or this is what I think, or this is what I feel, well, your feelings and your thoughts are not necessarily true according to God's word. So this one to me just reiterates the importance of God's word in our hearts and in our souls, that we may follow that and know we're giving good advice. All right, that's it for that one. Let's go ahead and get started on our workout. Here we go. Let's get this posted for everyone.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt.
I do. I look right by it.
Sure that we got this up and going. Remember, with your pelvic tilts, you want to be compressing so hard, like if you took a belly whack right to the stomach, that it wouldn't change anything, right? That your core would be so tight, nothing would change. Okay, so we want a Kegel and then pelvic tilt. So again, a Kegel is like you're flexing, like you're cutting off going to the bathroom, right? So not the butt cheeks squeezing tight, just those muscles down in the pelvic floor. Then we want to create the compression through the spine, flattening the back on the ground.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Okay, tilt with knee fall out. So again, we go through the compression first, right? So go through all of the compression.
1. Pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Remember, as you squeeze that core and the knee goes out to the side, you should be holding your core so tight that when it goes out to the side, your pelvis doesn't move on the floor, right? We want to hold and maintain a tight spinal brace, and then we won't see the shift in the low back from the ribs to the hips.
I did.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
Okay, here we go. Good pelvic tilt with adduction. So grab that foam roller. Remember, as you squeeze your core, right, that should stay tight through the entire process. We're not looking for a core that turns on and shuts off real easily.
Pelvic tilt with adduction.
So we want to hold that pelvic tilt really tight, squeeze the knees, release the knees, keeping the core tight, then release the core. Okay, so it should be a staged procedure, right? So core tight, squeeze the knees, release the core. But do it very distinctly. I don't want these to slur together. They should be very firm, right, and controlled. Each one. On, knees off, core off,
halfway.
right? So that way you can know if you're able to maintain that core contraction through each part of the
We're
movement.
gonna do some leg stuff first. And it's easy to see. How it's I have an idea that it's gonna be better. So we're gonna come just to this guy right
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Good. Tilt with knee toward chest. So this one's a march.
3, 2,
So remember,
1. Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
get that core really, really tight, right? Core tight, compress it, flatten that back down against the floor, then pull one knee up, set it back down. Remember, as you pull one knee up, don't push your opposite foot into the floor, okay? I want both feet to just be relaxed. You're not pressing down. You're holding all of your tilt with your core, okay? So we're not using the butt to lift the hips and drive the back into the
That's
floor.
halfway.
We want just the core to do that. Okay? And again, a good way to check that is try to do just a little crunch work. Sit up, hold that core really tight, and then put your shoulders back down on the ground. Okay? That's a most appropriate position that we can align ourselves to be able to create the force or the torque that we need all day long. Okay, good steps.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Yeah, me too.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Okay, pelvic tilt with bridge. So this time we are squeezing the butt. So what I want you to do is compress your core as tight as you possibly can. Then you're gonna lift your hips. If you return to the floor and your back is arched off the ground, that's bad, right? We wanna hold that core so tight, right, that you can lift and set back down and it doesn't change in the low back. So that's what we wanna work for. And again, you don't have to lift more than 1 inch for this to really, really work and effectively get your hips to squeeze while your core is compressing, right? Because that's an all day, everyday movement. Sit down, stand up. Use your glutes, keep your core tight. Right? So compress, 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 just as hard as you possibly can, okay? All the way through. Okay, very good.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Awesome. Okay, shoulder drops. So get those shoulders out of the ears. Marsha went camouflage on me again today. Must be her Monday
3,
workout.
2, 1. Shoulder drop.
Okay, now remember, right, our primary focus is the core being tight. Secondary focus, what position are the shoulders in, right? When you start, those shoulders should be down and back as far as you can get them, right? So if you can get this part of your shoulder all the way to the floor, that's what I would want, okay? Train yourself to get in a stable environment for your shoulder posture, which we'll be going over tomorrow, right? So compress, 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 get that core really tight.
That's halfway.
Good, firm squeeze. Okay, do your best. Very good. Tight, tight squeeze. Compress, compress, compress. Shoulders down and back out of those ears. Doing your absolute best.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for dead bug.
Good. Okay, get ready for the dead bug. Remember, compress that core, shoulders down and back. Do your absolute best through the movement.
3,
Your best.
2, 1. Dead bug.
Remember, your best is fully dependent on how well your core stays tight. Okay, so when you extend opposites in a dead bug, you only go as far as your core can stay tight, right? So the leg might not touch the ground. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't have to. All you have to do is keep your core tight and force that to work as hard as possible. Okay, so don't worry about distance. It's all about efficacy. How well
That's halfway.
are you holding and bracing your spine? Okay, firm squeeze. Good, good, good. Nice core compression. Squeeze really tight. Again, doing your absolute best all the way through.
3, 2, 1. Long rest.
Okay, long rest. Go ahead and grab a drink if you've got a drink handy. Otherwise, just hang out. Then we'll get started on the last round. Remember, we've got 45 seconds, so we'll go 3, 2, 1. Then that's basically get set and ready for the next round, okay? So don't freak out when you hear the first set of 3, 2, 1 here. Okay, with this round, I want you to work on picking up 50% of the weight off of your feet. Okay, so if your feet were on a scale and it read 20 pounds, we're going to do a core compression and then lift 10 pounds of pressure off your feet. So again, they don't leave the floor all the way this round, but do work hard through it.
Prepare for pelvic tilt.
Okay, so practice here. Kegel, pelvic tilt, hold tight, gently start pulling the knees, just flex the hips a little bit, and then try to keep that core braced so the back stays on the ground, okay? Here we go.
Pelvic tilt.
Core tight, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Gently, just pull some of the weight off your feet. Again, to do that, you fire the hip flexors. That's what pull the knee towards the chest. When you do that, your low back should not leave the ground. Okay, when you fire the hip flexors, it shouldn't force your back to arch. Okay, if it does, squeeze the core harder. Okay, you need to squeeze even harder before you even start lifting those feet. And if it doesn't stay or maintain, that's fine. Set the feet back down right away. Re-squeeze the core. Re-squeeze the core. Right? Because we want to train good patterns. So that means if you get out of a good pattern, stop. Right? Go back, reset, get all the good that you can out of it. As soon as it goes bad and that back lifts off the ground, stop, try it again. Re-squeeze, even harder. Start pulling. Okay?
Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Cool. So now that applies to every other movement here on out. Okay? We're going to be lifting those knees. So remember, Kegel, pelvic tilt, then create the movement that we're shooting.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Okay, core compressed, squeeze nice and tight, knee out to the side, and lift back up. Again, you're trying to gently lift some of the pressure off your feet, so knee towards your chest a tiny bit. Hold the core, don't let it go. Okay, crush that Dorito under the low back. Crush it, crush it. Okay, nice and firm, nice and firm. Doing your absolute best all the way through. Very good. Awesome. Core tight. Compress,
3,
compress, compress.
2, 1.
Squeeze back up.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
Okay, tilt with adduction. Okay, so core compressed, squeeze your knees, then gently lift.
1. Pelvic tilt with adduction.
Okay, Kegel, core, knees, lift the feet gently, set the feet down, release the knees, release the core. Again, very, very distinct. They should not slur together. Okay, good, good, good. Core compressed, nice and tight. Kegel core, then squeeze the knees, release the knees, release the core. Then release the core.
That's halfway.
Almost forgot what I was teaching. Okay, again, tight, tight, tight. Firm squeezes. Okay, firm squeezes. Good core compression. Nice and tight. Firm squeeze.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Okay. Tilt with knee toward chest. So again, compress your core. Pull both feet a tiny bit, then begin your march. Okay, so this one, I still want both pulling.
1. Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Right? So that way we can ensure that opposite foot's not pushing into the floor to try to help create some stability. So they both should be light. Okay, light feet. Good. Core compressed. Firm, firm, firm. Hold that tight. Right? Remember that bowling ball dropping down onto your stomach. You want to hold so tight that it would just bounce right off and it wouldn't change a thing. Right?
That's
Firm,
halfway.
firm, firm. Okay, tight, tight squeeze. Tight, tight squeeze. Compress, compress, compress. Get good marches, making sure that opposite foot is light on the floor. We're almost there, ladies.
Well, fair enough. What I can do though is
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
are you watching?
Good core compression. Squeeze nice and tight.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Good squeeze. Tight, tight, tight. Then create your movement, right? Core tight, squeeze firm. Compress the butt cheeks. Okay, this one's different, obviously, because we're pushing into the floor. But I still want a really good squeeze. So pinch a penny between your butt cheeks. Okay? So your butt cheeks should be one of those little machines that creates these
That's
things.
halfway.
Right? A flattened penny. Okay? Compress, tight, tight, tight. Doing your absolute best all the way through. Okay? Very good. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Again, do your
3,
best.
2, 1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Awesome. Okay, get ready for the shoulder drops. Again, core compressed. Pull those shoulders out of the ears, right? So think even reach for your feet, but
Shoulder
also
drop.
pull your shoulders into the floor. Okay, simultaneously compress that core. This is what gets really hard about this position is as my shoulder gets tight or if I have a loss of range of motion, I'm going to try to make up for the mobility that should be in my shoulder through my back, right? So to get my arms straight to the ceiling, if I get stuck right here, I'm going to lift my ribs and say, oh yeah, I've got full range of motion, but really you don't because those ribs need to stay
halfway.
down. So that's what we want to work on here with this position is keep your ribs down, go through the range of motion you have, and then return that shoulder blade down and back into position. Okay, almost there. 12 seconds. Oh, you're a little early there, Marcia. We're just on shoulders.
3, 2,
Marcia's throwing in
1.
extra dead bugs. I like it.
Prepare for dead bug.
All right, here we go. Get ready for the dead bugs. Yeah, you were. Okay, good dead bugs or bird dogs. Remember, don't cat or cow on the bird dog. You want to maintain a nice neutral spine. And again, I don't want you to overextend on the arm and leg in order to pick up more range of motion. I would rather you stay in a stable environment and reduce range of motion because as you build strength and get stronger, naturally mobility increases when strength in the right areas increases. Because it's that same principle, right? If I lose mobility in my mobile shoulder, I'm going to create mobility in my stable spine
That's halfway.
to try to increase how that works, right? And that's just how the body works. We're constantly trying to, the brain's playing this game of what's strong, what's weak, and can I compensate in order to make up for that? Right? So we start building the body in all the right areas, and everything gets a lot easier as you go. Okay, again, core compress, squeeze tight.
3, 2, 1. Long rest.
Very, very good. Okay, long rest. Go ahead and get set. Grab a drink. Last round, remember, we're going to try now. And again, it's try. It's just a goal. That you would lift your feet off the ground, hover just enough that you can slide a piece of paper under your feet, right, for every single movement. So exactly what we did last time, except this time, actually get them to hover.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay, very good. Here we go. Get set and ready. Another 15 seconds.
1. Prepare for pelvic tilt.
Then we shall get going. Okay? Remember, core compressed as tight as you possibly can get it.
2,
So don't forget your
1.
Kegel, right?
Pelvic tilt.
Create that Kegel. Pelvic floor is compressed and firm. Nothing's going to change in that pelvic floor. Create that core compression. Hover the feet. 1, 2. Set the feet back down. Make sure the core is still tight. Then release the core. Okay, again, core on, core off. First and last. Right? It should stay tight through the entire process, regardless of what we choose to do with the hips. Whether it's moving in, out, up, down, doesn't matter. Core is tight. Firm.
That's half
Good compression all the way through. Okay, very good. Almost there. 12 seconds. Again, recompress every time. Make sure it's tight. Nothing should change in your core or your low back.
3, 2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
Awesome. Tilt and knee fall out. So press that core, hover the feet, knee out to the side, back up. Again, this will reduce range of motion.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee fall out.
And the reason it does that is because you're losing a point of contact on the floor, right? So if you hover your foot, it's going to be a lot harder to let that knee go all the way out, and that's fine so long as your core stays tight, okay? Or something that might help is you can Y your hands, right? Just put them at a 45, put your hands out to your sides, press those into the floor, then compress your core, lift your feet out to the side. And that'll feel like it gives you a little more stability. Okay? It might even challenge you a little bit more. Okay? Core compress, tight, 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 all the way through, doing your best, your absolute best.
I'd say this. I got a 15, but I wouldn't. Okay, so I'll get a couple pictures up. You take
3, 2.
Good, good, good.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
I see. I'm thinking if you're on YouTube, the initial
Okay.
2,
post,
1.
Good to see you.
Pelvic tilt with adduction.
Yeah, you seem like a familiar face.
this initial post is
I need to at least tell him.
has a the kids made for kids, so I would have to change that in my description. Okay, good core compression, nice and tight. Squeeze the knees, lift the feet, set the feet, release the knees, release the core. Okay, each one very distinct, all the way through.
That's halfway.
2 by 6, Tony.
Very good. Keep it tight, core compressed. And again, if you need to take a break in order to get your core even more tight. And again, if you can't lift your feet off the ground without losing your back, that's fine. Only lift what you can, or you might not be able to lift at all at this point. That's fine as well.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Right? Just do your best all the way through. Okay? Your best all the way through.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Okay, very good. Remember, compress that core, squeeze as hard as you possibly can. Right? Try to hover the feet. Again, if you do hover, make sure you're not doing a scissors kick where both legs are moving at the same time, right? So it's one leg moves up, back down to a hover, move the other one. Back down to a hover. You might set your feet down in between each one and then lift back up. Do one, set them down, recompress the core, lift, hover, pull the other one up. Right? It's very difficult. It should be hard. This should not be easy. Okay? Recompress, hold nice and tight. Firm squeeze. Okay, hold, tight.
2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
Good, tilt and bridge.
Three, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with bridge.
Here we go. Good bridge. Okay, compress that core, squeeze nice and tight. Core compress, tight. All the way through.
That's halfway.
Compress. Tight, squeeze.
I'll be right back in with your home exercise. I'm going to take a look at something real quick. I'll take right there.
Good. Again, re-squeeze the core. This should be a process of always redoing. Compress harder, right? Because Marcia, if you think you're compressing hard enough,
3, 2,
never.
1.
You're never compressing
Prepare
hard
for
enough.
shoulder
Squeeze
drops.
harder. Okay, shoulder drops. 2 more. And then guess what? We are all done, okay? So do your absolute best. Again, get the shoulders down first. Down to the floor,
2,
down to your feet.
1. Shoulder drop.
Okay, to the floor, to your feet. Compress as hard as you possibly can. Firm. Remember, do your absolute best. Compress. Hold firm. Squeeze, tight.
That's halfway.
Awesome. Again, reset, take the shoulders down again. Core tight, recompress. Think I'm coming up and stepping on your stomach. Stomach stomp. That could be a t-shirt. Stomach stomp. Good. Core tight.
1. Prepare for dead bug.
Okay, get ready for the dead bug or bird dog, whichever one that you're doing. Just remember, brace your spine, compress your core. You're still going to do the Kegel and compress,
2, 1.
then create
Dead
your
bug.
movement. Okay, and to be honest, every time we move the legs, you have to recheck that Kegel, right? You have to recheck your pelvic floor is still tight, and then compress. Check, make sure it's tight, then compress. Just biting you?
If I move right.
Marcia, I really wonder if we should be doing bird dogs almost every time.
That's halfway.
I think that would really benefit you. Just to get a primer started, force that stability, that pressure on your hands going through that back. I think that would be really a good thing.
Last Thursday, I did my core didn't do that.
Okay.
And that would be less.
Yeah.
Of course, these hard is something.
3,
Yeah.
2, 1. Long rest.
Lifting up the bridge.
The bridge, okay.
But I remember that shape, when I first took my back on the they said it was soft tissue then. The same thing.
Well, excuse me. Very good work. Very good work. That's a way to get through it.
Self-inflicted wound, as Daryl said.
Yeah. remember, we will get another thing of SMR going, so we're going to finish off with the exact same SMR that we started with. If that's not what you need, if that's not the problem that you have, remember, go into our playlists, figure out what you do need to work on, so that way you can get that all taken care of as well, right? Because your body is not just about making it move, it's also about making it relax. So tight muscles we need to release, and then we need to strengthen those weak muscles. So that's the point of this entire class. So don't just quit and run away. Do go through the work. If you really feel pretty good, do each one of the SMRs anyway, because that is preventative. You're taking action now to prevent a pain in the future. Okay, that's what we're all about here, is better body movement, right? Because when we help you move well, you will live well. Have a fantastic day. I will see you guys again tomorrow for our upper body day. Have a great day.
The calf is predominantly made up of two different muscles, the soleus, which lies deep to the gastrocnemius. As you can see here, both muscles connect to the Achilles tendon that pulls on the back of the heel. The gastrocnemius also has two different heads that pass the knee joint to the back of the femur. The gastrocnemius and soleus both work to create plantar flexion, whereas the gastrocnemius also assists with knee flexion. Start sitting on the floor using a foam roller. Begin by placing your calves on the foam roller. Using the weight of your legs, flex and point the foot to create a better release. As you work up the calf, roll the knee outward and inward to get more of the lateral and medial gastrocnemius heads. Continue to work through that tissue for 7 to 10 repetitions on each part of the calf that is tender. Next, use the massage stick. To make sure the calf is loose, use a step stool to lift the foot and allow the muscle to relax. Start near the bottom of the soleus and pull towards the top of the gastrocnemius. When you find a tender spot or a knot, stop the massage stick where it is and create pressure into that spot, creating a jostling motion without rolling the massage stick up and down. Make sure you breathe and relax the muscle tissue. Continue this same process all throughout the soleus and gastrocnemius, even the side of the lower leg, until you feel you've gotten all of the tender spots. Be sure to use firm pressure as you roll the tissue. The muscles running most deep to the soleus are the Tibialis Posterior and the Flexor Digitorum Longus. The Tibialis Posterior is responsible for inversion of the foot. The Flexor Digitorum Longus runs all the way to the tip of the toes, creating flexion of the four toes and assists with plantar flexion of the ankle. From those illustrations, you can see how the muscles in the lower leg control the toes. To work the Tibialis Posterior and the Flexor Digitorum Longus, we are going to need a lacrosse ball and a chair. With your leg on a hard chair and the foot over the edge, place a lacrosse ball in between the gastrocnemius muscles and press down into the tissue. Work the medial and lateral portions the same way you work the tissue of the tibialis posterior. Press into the ball and pull your foot up while you breathe in. After a full contraction up, drop the foot and relax your breath. Work your way to the medial portions, continuing to breathe during the contract and relax sequence for 7 to 10 repetitions. Then move out to the lateral portions for 7 to 10 repetitions.
for some reason, it's like this thing.